And thank you, Jyoti, and the Workers' Party for organizing this very important event. Uh, Unlike the previous speakers, I don't claim to be an expert on Yemen. I look upon it as the victim of an extraordinary aggression on the part of the strongest powers in the world. I mean, we've seen the horrors that have been perpetrated. We've seen the children being killed by bombs. We've seen hospitals destroyed. We've seen vital civilian infrastructure destroyed by Saudi bombs. We've seen the effects of the air, sea, and land blockade. And all of these horrors have been facilitated, active participation of the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia. And this was very active. It's not just that, oh, they're selling them arms. They are providing intelligence. They are providing intelligence for targets. They are providing air refueling facilities when they go on their bombing missions. They're providing training. So this is a very active involvement in war crimes. Now, this is war crimes by the very powers who never stop lecturing the rest of the world about human rights and about our values. We're apparently values. Well, that's all we really care about. You know, we have alliances based on values, and or very, very keen on putting others on trial. You're holding international criminal trials for others for war crimes. But of course, the war crimes never apply to us. It's others who commit these war crimes. Now, the origins, I mean, Jyoti, you described very well the historical origins of the Yemeni conflict, Yemen's vital strategic location. And you know, unfortunately, as with many parts of the world, when they happen to be located, you know, geographically in a very strategic location, or they happen to be next to coal mines, oil wells, something of value, they become the playthings of great powers. And that is indeed what has happened in the case of Yemen. I mean, it used to be a part of British India. Then the British just simply transferred it to as part of Arabia as its interest changed. But the most recent horror story of Yemen, goes back to the Obama administration. And when it decided in 2011 to seize on the Arab Spring as a mechanism for regime change and to expand US dominance over the Middle East. So in one glorious year in 2011, the United States demanded no less than 4 regimes in the Middle East to go away, to step down. They were no longer satisfactory to Washington. So there was Mubarak had to go, Gaddafi had to go, Assad had to go, and Saleh had to go, all in the space of a few months. This was the position of the Obama administration. In each of these cases, each of these 4 cases, there was absolute catastrophe for the countries involved. We've seen what's going on in Libya. We've seen the absolute horror show there. And of course, the Syrian war is continuing. And there's every indication that the people coming in with President Biden want to reignite that war. They want to continue with that regime change operation. And of course, we had Saleh in Yemen. Of course, that regime change operation ended in complete fiasco. The successor government was a disaster. It had no popular support. It was immediately rejected by the populace. And what then happened is, of course, the Saudi Arabia, when he along with its Gulf Cooperation Council allies, decided to just put its thumb on the scale and impose this government that has obviously been rejected by the people of Yemen. And here we have absolutely explicitly Barack Obama backed the Saudi intervention, the Saudi military intervention. There's a lot of talk that, oh, he didn't really support it, it was just done behind his back, and he was really against it and had nothing to do with him. No, there is absolute documentary evidence. He knew exactly what was involved, and he supported that intervention, as did his number two, Joe Biden. And this is, and they've known all this time about the criminality of the Saudi campaign. So when we come across these stories now that there's, oh well, that Biden is supposedly going to abandon the support for the Saudi campaign in Yemen, why would anyone believe this? Other than the media want to present it as somehow, well, the Yemen war, that was really Trump's war. Let's not go back any further. It was just Trump. So Trump's the bad guy. So Trump's gone. Now these terrible things are going to go away. Well, of course, it's not going to go away, because the US-Saudi alliance is, absolutely inextricable. I mean, it's like you can't separate these two powers. I mean, it goes back to the days of FDR. It goes back to the Nixon doctrine with Saudi Arabia, and at that time, the Shah of Iran's of Persia were to be the ballast for the Nixon doctrine. They were the way to resist the Soviet aggression all over the world. And then we have, the Bush dynasty, with all their close familial relationships with Saudi Arabia. And so this has continued. So, and despite everything that we have known about everything in Saudi Arabia, I mean, leave aside the fact that it is, it is the recipient of enormous amounts of US military hardware and UK military hardware, which is, of course, the key to the alliance, because a lot of money is at stake. They buy an enormous amount of weapons that they are unable to use. It's just this, but it's essentially a transfer of wealth to the United States and to the United Kingdom with a massive markup. But they don't know how to use it. I mean, we've seen that they are militarily completely incompetent. They're unable to win this war in Yemen. They can't even win a war against Qatar. So all this fancy, the most modern military hardware that they're buying, they have no idea how to use them, other than in a horrible, destructive fashion. So this is absolutely essential to a US economy. And therefore, there is no way in the world that the Biden administration will bring this at any time to an end. I mean, even when everything we have known about Al-Qaeda and how they've sponsored Al-Qaeda, all the madrasas that they have financed, and their direct involvement in the 9/11 attacks. I mean, all this has been documented, and still it makes no difference. But we have to then go through this charade with the media. We're saying, well, there's, the Saudis are really just doing all these terrible things, but now that Biden is there, he's going to, make sure that they behave themselves and that they're not going to do any of these things. I don't believe that is going to happen. I think this is, the crimes, will continue. And the US-Saudi alliance will, go on and on. However, I think, as you, Jyoti, and others have pointed out, the Yemeni resistance is amazingly inspiring. I mean, I wouldn't have believed that they've been able to continue with this fight and even to prevail. So I'm pessimistic as to what happens in Washington, but I'm kind of optimistic about the Yemeni resistance. Thank you.